Hey, what's up everybody? Marcello here from GameCube Galaxy, and today is a special video. It's a celebration of hitting 500 subscribers on the channel since I launched it back in April of this year. So first and foremost, I just want to thank all of you amazing fans for supporting the channel since it launched. I never expected it to get to where it's at right now, and it's honestly because of the amazing community and feedback you guys have given me that it's excited me to keep pushing out more and more content for you guys. The channel's really been a labor of love. It's been a passion project of mine for quite some time that I've wanted to do, and I finally just took the plunge and decided to go for it. And honestly, seeing everybody enjoying the content has really been so beyond humbling. I don't even know where to begin. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you all so much for the amazing support and sharing the content with those who may love the GameCube, have memories of the GameCube, or just enjoy the content enough that you want to share it with people in general. So today, I'm excited because I'm finally going to be able to answer all the questions you guys have sent me through Twitter and Discord and Instagram. Today is the day, finally get to answer those. And at the end of the video, I will announce the giveaway opportunity as well, as I did mention. So let's get to it. So first question comes from the Welsh GameCube collector, and his question is, best color GameCube? So I have a jet black GameCube console. I got that on Christmas of 2001, a month after the console launched here in North America, and I love the jet black color. But if there was ever any other color I wish I got that I think looks just a little bit better, it's the platinum color GameCube. That GameCube I always thought looked so sleek, it pops even more, you see it and it stands out. But that being said, I do like the indigo color. I do think that's very iconic, it's unique. It's the color that people think of when they hear the GameCube. I do know there are a lot of fans of the spice orange one as well, but if I had to choose my best or my favorite color of the console, it'd probably be the platinum one. So the next question comes from Hallowed Be Thy Game, and he wrote, man, you're crushing it, congrats man. If you could only play 3 GameCube games for the rest of your life, what would they be? Honestly, I love a variety of games on the GameCube, but my top 3 that I could find myself playing, and I still do countlessly, would be Resident Evil 4, SSX3, and F-Zero GX. Those are my top 3 games on the GameCube, bar none. So those games I find myself revisiting constantly. Resident Evil 4, while the Wii version is still probably my favorite version, I would say that if you have to play with traditional controls, the GameCube version is the definitive version. It's the only console version that has no dead zone whatsoever when aiming, so it just makes it much more responsive to play versus the PS2 or the HD remasters that came out on all the other consoles afterwards. SSX3 has always been one of my favorite games of all time. There's no better snowboarding game. I'm a big extreme sports fan, so playing something like SSX3, I've put in hundreds of hours across both the PlayStation 2 and the GameCube version. And honestly, it's a game that I do play annually. It's a tradition of mine that every Christmas or every December, I always pop the game in and always start up a new run with a new character and go through the entire game with that character. And when I've done it all, I just redo it all again. It's one of the most infinitely replayable games I've ever experienced, still to this day. And then F-Zero GX, my favorite racing game of all time, quite possibly. Easily the best racer on the GameCube. There is no equivalent. There's nothing that even comes close in terms of the content, the visuals, the audio, the tight gameplay. It's a package that really showcased, or really kind of sent F-Zero off on a high note, because since then we haven't had a console F-Zero release. So the last one we had was F-Zero GP Legend on the GBA that did release after the GX version did, but yeah, we're still waiting. So Nintendo, Switch, come on, like, people are waiting for it. So yeah, those would be the 3 games that I would play for the rest of my life on the GameCube. Not even that difficult of a question, but a great question. Tiger Chainsaw asks, what's the worst GameCube game you've ever played? So honestly, Mario Kart Double Dash. No, I'm kidding. It might be one of my most disappointing games on the GameCube, but it's not a bad game. It's just, it never hit the high notes of Mario Kart 64 that that game did for me. But worst game, probably gonna go to Trigger Man. Charlie's Angels is very close. Trigger Man is just the most painful game I've ever come across trying out. I've never beaten it. I don't think I can get past more than 20 minutes of playing that without really wanting to just break that game in half. It's an awful, awful game. And I will be covering it one day on the channel, so stay tuned for that one. So How to Game Differently asks, a GameCube game that you think deserves a remake or remaster and why? Honestly, if there's one game on the GameCube I really, really wish got a remaster, not even a remake because it holds up so well all these years later, it is F-Zero GX. It's still exclusive to the GameCube, you can only play it there. It's still my favorite F-Zero, it's still one of my favorite racing games like I mentioned, and I feel like so many people missed out on this game that releasing this on the Switch right now with the popularity of that console would skyrocket the franchise. I really firmly believe that. So that is the game I still wish to this day gets remastered. So staying in line with that topic, SquarePegs asks, what are the top 3 GameCube games that I want to see HD remastered and brought over to the Switch? So obviously one, like I just answered, is F-Zero GX. As for the other ones, one that stands out for me is 1080 Avalanche. That's another fantastic snowboarding game. It was the first review I did for the channel, actually. I have a lot of fond memories playing that game, and I feel like that's another one that a lot of people missed out on. And it's very different from SSX. So it's kind of nice to have a snowboarding game that's not similar, but rather different, and you can actually have both games and play both and have a different experience. That being said, yeah, 1080 Avalanche is a game that I still wish would get a remaster and brought over to the Switch. Another game is Eternal Darkness. Eternal Darkness is one of the finest games ever crafted on the GameCube, and it still does things that no other game has ever done, no other horror game has ever done, thanks to its sanity system that was actually patented by Nintendo. Unfortunately, Nintendo never really did anything else with this. It's a shame because Eternal Darkness was such a fantastic game, and even though it was a sales flop, nowadays it became cult classic. Remastering that game for the Switch would sell tenfold. I think that's just a no-brainer. So yeah, those are the 3 games I would actually remaster for the Switch. So Retro Mayhem asked, what's the farthest I've traveled with the GameCube by carrying it by its handle? Let's go do that. One block. Congrats, Retro Mayhem. I've never carried it by its handle, so that's now the furthest distance. So Sega Blocks asks, if the GameCube didn't exist, what other older retro system would I love next? This is actually a really good question. I mean, going retro, I don't know, for me, deeming anything retro has to be about 20 years and older. The GameCube just hit that this year, so I would probably go with like the Game Boy Advance, and here are the reasons. I love my handheld gaming, no question about it. The Game Boy Advance being the fact that it also had the capability of doing full backward compatibility with the Game Boy Color, which is another favorite handheld of mine, it really opened up to a vast library of games that were just outstanding, to say the least. I have so many memories playing Game Boy Color games, so many Game Boy Advance games. The console itself, both realistically, the whole Game Boy family of games just had so many outstanding titles that if there was any other console I would have covered as a dedicated channel, it'd probably be a Game Boy. So yeah, I would say Game Boy Advance, Game Boy Color, the whole Game Boy family in general, I would culminate into one since the Game Boy Advance is backward compatible with the Game Boy Color. So Lame Dad asked a question that was actually tethered with Tiger Chainsaw's question, which was about what was the worst GameCube game I ever played. And he actually followed that up with exclusive or any game. As far as exclusives, I would say the worst is Charlie's Angels. That's just an exclusive that really shouldn't be exclusive on the GameCube, but it is. As far as any game, Triggerman. Like I said before, definitely Triggerman. RetroWolf88 wrote in saying, congrats brother, very much deserved. My question is, what is your first memory with the GameCube and what is the first game you played on it? So I would say my first memory will always be my favorite memory, and that was Christmas of 2001, opening up this big box that morning. And as I unwrapped it and I opened up the box, there was the jet black GameCube console with Luigi's Mansion, Wave Race Blue Storm, and the memory card 59 block, which was the only memory card available at the time. My brothers also got me more games for the GameCube, so I also got Star Wars Rogue Leader, Super Smash Bros. Melee, and NHL Hits 2002. So when I hooked up the GameCube, the first game I fired up was Super Smash Bros. Melee, and just from the intro alone, I was floored. Coming from the N64 to the GameCube, you know, coming at a time where consoles had massive visual leaps from one console to another. Unlike today, I would say that game was just like mind-blowing to me. And then right after that, I remember putting in Star Wars Rogue Leader and like just being blown away with the graphics and the audio and the presentation. And yeah, the GameCube was a massive leap forward, and I will always remember that Christmas and the excitement of getting the console with those games. And it's just, they were stellar games, no question about it. So yeah, that would be the first memory I had, as well as the first game I ever played on the console. So what game before wrote in saying, what's your most cherished GameCube memory? Much like I just answered Retro Wolf 88's question, yeah, my favorite, most cherished memory would be that Christmas of 2001, getting the console and firing it up and playing the 5 launch games that I did get with it. That would definitely be my favorite memory. It was the most exciting console launch for me personally. It was the first console that was actually mine. Normally my brother and I, we would like share a console, like so like the N64 we got, but it was like 50-50, but it was really like 51-49, and he took it when he moved. So like the GameCube was actually mine, and I think because it was my first personal home console that was mine, I'll always remember that, and building up the library for the console and so many countless experiences in that console that are still very much noteworthy 20 years later. So Topless wrote in asking, what kit do you use to record your GameCube? So I'm actually using an Elgato HD60 to capture the footage. As far as the GameCube, I do have an EON GCHD adapter. I have the first model. I do not have the Mark II model. I also do have an mClassic adapter plugged into it that gives it a nice anti-aliasing cleanup, so this way it gets rid of a lot of the jagged edges. So that's what I'm using, all culminated together to capture the footage, and then I use actually iMovie to edit my footage. So Video Games for Fun wrote in saying, congrats on the milestone. Questions: what's your favorite Star Wars game on the Cube? And was there ever a GameCube Sunshine channel, like how Mario Sunshine to Mario Galaxy? So, favorite Star Wars game, there are a lot of good Star Wars games on the GameCube. My favorite would be Rogue Leader, just because the presentation, the visuals, the gameplay, the sound, everything about it is essentially a perfect package. The difficulty might be a little on the steep side at times, especially if you're going for the medals, but as far as an experience, yeah, Star Wars Rogue Leader to this day is probably still my favorite flight-based Star Wars game and favorite Star Wars game on the GameCube. As far as the GameCube Sunshine channel, I did think about it, and I know that Mario Sunshine did release in the GameCube and Mario Galaxy was for the Wii. However, the flow of GameCube Galaxy I felt actually stood out more, and I felt like it was more in line with the GameCube. Even as an acronym, GCG, it just flows a little bit better. So yeah, that's where I was with that. I thought about it, but ultimately I felt like GameCube Galaxy just flowed nicely. So, but that's a good question. So Checklist Gaming wrote in saying, what's your favorite publisher for the GameCube besides Nintendo if they weren't already your favorite? Good question. I would say either EA or Capcom. Believe it or not, I know a lot of hate goes toward EA nowadays, but I feel like that goes toward a lot of publishers nowadays due to the change in state of gaming. But EA was probably one of the best publishers for the GameCube. Not only did they have their entire EA Sports lineup, but you had EA Sports Big, which had the SSX games like Tricky and SSX3. There's on tour too, but you guys, if you guys have watched my channel, you know that I'm not a big fan of that one. But then you have NBA Street 2, which was my personal favorite that they did for the Street series. You had NFL Street. You know, I did love the whole EA Big lineup, especially like Def Jam Vendetta. Great game, really, really great game. But then also what I loved about EA was they did exclusive content for the GameCube games. So I'll actually leave a link up here, right here, where it's going to be taking you to the GameCube games with exclusive content. And I actually highlight several games that they did, where you had like Fight Night Round 2 that had a little Mac that was playable in there, as well as a copy of Super Punch-Out you could play. SSX on Tour, you could play as Mario, Luigi, and Peach, whether you're shredding down the mountain with the snowboard or skis. NBA Street Volume 3, same thing, you could play as Mario, Luigi, and Peach on the court. Those kind of details, that kind of like bonus content to me shows that the publishers had a good relationship with Nintendo. So I loved seeing stuff like that. But then you also had the 007 games. Something like 007 Everything or Nothing that was my favorite Bond game since GoldenEye and is actually up there with GoldenEye. If you've never played it, highly recommend it. But then you had like Nightfire and Agent Under Fire that were fantastic 4-player multiplayer experiences, as well as great campaigns. So, at the same token, Capcom put out some excellent exclusives. My favorite one, which is my favorite game of all time, being Resident Evil 4. So all that being said, as much as I love both companies, I'm gonna say that EA would probably be my favorite publisher besides Nintendo for the GameCube. They really supported the console tremendously, and they put out exclusive content, and that is what makes it edge out as the best publisher aside from Nintendo. So Argus9 wrote in on Discord saying, what is your favorite console of all time, and why is it the Nintendo GameCube? It's because it's the Nintendo GameCube. It was a fantastic system. So honestly, I'd say it's a tiebreaker for me. I'm between the GameCube and the Nintendo Switch. Both consoles for me really stand out. The GameCube had fantastic exclusives, and it was at a time when Nintendo was edgier. They were definitely trying to cater to a more mature market, you could tell, because they were competing with the PlayStation 2 and Microsoft's new Xbox console that was out. And you could tell that, you know, they published 2 M-rated games. Nintendo never published an M-rated game prior to the GameCube. And it was in 2002 that Eternal Darkness came out, and it was a horror game unlike any other horror game, and it still is to this day. But then I look at the Switch, and the Switch has been a runaway success. It's really been bringing so many games to the console, whether it's ports from previous consoles or enhanced ports at least, to all these fantastic first-party games that they've been putting out and been like just on a roll. Yeah, I would say for me, it's the GameCube and the Switch tied as the best console of all time, for me personally. So Cup of Retro wrote to me on Instagram saying, why pick the GameCube over other consoles? The GameCube for me is just the console that I have the most memories with. And also it's the console that I feel got the least amount of appreciation during the 6th generation of consoles. I mean, everybody was playing the PlayStation 2. A lot of people were jumping onto the Xbox scene due to Halo, basically, and as well as other exclusives that were on the console as well. But the GameCube was a console that I felt like a lot of people just wrote off. I remember being in middle school and people were like, oh, the GameCube is dumb. It's like this purple console, it's for kids. But meanwhile, we had games like Resident Evil Remake and Eternal Darkness and Resident Evil 4. Yes, I know they're all horror games I mentioned. But then you had stuff like Geist, and you had its third-party support. And there was no denying that the GameCube had core titles. Games like Luigi's Mansion and Wave Race Blue Storm, Star Wars Rogue Leader, which is an exclusive. There were all games that stand out for me that I feel don't get as much appreciation as they should have. So that's why I've actually decided to do what I'm doing now with the channel, is because I think it was about time that the GameCube got a channel that at least I can try to provide quality content in terms of reviewing games, providing any like history on games, covering topics on games, and really just kind of try to shed some light on the console itself and its library. So How to Game Differently decided to send the second question through Instagram, and I guess that technically counts, and it's, who is your favorite YouTuber and why is it How to Game Differently? I mean, How to Game Differently got to interview Johnny Joeli from Crush 40. That's a pretty awesome deal. So if you haven't checked out that interview, go on his channel and check that out. Really cool interview. As far as favorite YouTubers, honestly, there are a ton that I love to watch, but these are new and upcoming channels. They're not the mainstream ones, and that's what I like more about it, is because there's a labor of love that you can see happening behind their content. So those are Lame Dead Retro Gamer, How to Game Differently, Sega Blocks, Retro Wolf 88, Hallowed Be Thy Game, Adults Have Toys 2, Down the Warpipe, Tiger Chainsaw, heaps of games, Retro Gaming Pandemic, the list goes on. So if I forgot anybody, please forgive me. There are so many amazing content creators I've been following and communicating with, and it really has been an amazing experience. These guys have been phenomenal. Great, great people, great content, super positive, and they're really like just love giving feedback and enjoying each other's content. And it's really just this really cool community vibe at the end of the day that we get to enjoy each other's content. So there's no favorite YouTuber, it's just a matter of like building a cool community and seeing a cool community of content creators. So How to Game Differently has one more question for me, and that is, what GameCube games have you not played yet that you really wanted to? So the one game I've always wanted to play in the GameCube that I still haven't gotten around to is actually Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door. That is a game that everyone has told me, whether you're an RPG fan or just a Mario fan, that you have to experience it. It's one of the best games in the GameCube, and I've never gotten around to playing it. So that is something I definitely plan on playing and covering on the channel at some point. I think it'd be exciting for me to review it, especially coming from never playing the game and not having the most extensive RPG background. I mean, I like more action RPGs. Turn-based, yeah, I never really were my forte, except for like Pokemon back in the day. Maybe a few others, like I Am Setsuna, I remember playing on the Switch, but I don't know if that's really turn-based. But anyway, yeah, I would say that Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door is the like one specific game I've always wanted to play that I still haven't gotten to. And the last question comes from R17, and that's, can you detail the process of making your videos? From one content creator to another, I would love to hear your approach. When it comes to creating episodes, prior to doing the reviews, when I was focusing more on top 10s and topic videos, honestly, I would write down a list of topics or top 10s or any ideas I have for the channel. And then every week I would basically go through my list and see which topic or which video I wanted to do, which episode was what I was feeling like doing the most. And then it would be just a matter of capturing the footage, but also writing up my script prior. So basically I'll capture all my footage, and then once all the footage is captured, I will write up my script, import the footage into iMovie, record my voice through a GarageBand, clean it up a bit, put it all together, and then I'll just sit there and meticulously edit. My thing with editing is that I like to make sure that everything kind of matches up with what I'm talking about. More so with the reviews. If you notice in my reviews, I try to do a lot of quick cuts, and I try to cut most of the time the things I'm talking about. It's a creative vision of mine that I love to see what I'm talking about visually, so you can see it and hear it at the same time. If you look at my timeline is usually pretty ridiculous, the amount of cuts. You've got things anywhere between 1 second to 4 seconds, and it just keeps moving. As far as how long it takes to even edit a video, for me, I invest anywhere between 12 to 20 hours a week just editing one video. And that's while balancing my career and also family time with my wife and my daughter. So it's a challenge, but it's something that I still love to do. And seeing the feedback I've gotten from everybody is what kind of keeps pushing me forward to keep going and keep providing content for you guys, the viewers. And then as far as when I do my video reviews, I actually play the game to its entirety. I will not review the game until I've actually completed it. So my thing is play through the entire game, record my entire playthrough, write up my script, record my voice, and then go through all the footage of the entire playthrough and match it up with what I'm saying in the review. So again, that's a process, but it's definitely a labor of love. So that's a great question though, I really like that question. And with that, I have to say thank you all to everyone's phenomenal questions. Some really, really great questions. They were all great, honestly. I really enjoyed answering everybody's questions that they had for me and the channel itself. Coming up next week, I'll be doing a video about pre-order bonuses on the GameCube. That's a topic I've been wanting to cover for quite some time. Looking back, pre-order bonuses back then, I feel like were so much more valuable than pre-order bonuses nowadays. So this is gonna be a fun topic for me to cover. Then coming up, I've got the 20th anniversary GameCube video that I'm working on, and that'll be launching on November 18th. That video is going to basically cover a little bit of history about the GameCube, some favorite memories. I have a few content creators joining in on that one to provide their favorite memories of the console. And I'm also going to be covering every launch game that came out for the GameCube day one, which was actually a much bigger launch for the North America market versus the Japanese market with that 2-month gap. And I'm hoping this will be a really cool video because honestly, it's such a great moment to see that the GameCube is turning 20 years old and that I am still using the original console I got 20 years ago. So definitely stay tuned for that on November 18th. Moving forward after that, I have a few other topic videos I'm gonna do. I have a few reviews planned. I'm looking to review like SSX Tricky and SSX3 next month since it's December and I can't think of a better game that encompasses the Christmas time for me personally. And also I'm going to review Enter the Matrix to coincide with the movie release coming out the end of next month. And then moving into the new year, we'll go back into doing the usual topic videos, top 10s. It's been a while since I've done a top 10 video. Some reviews I definitely have planned. And honestly, I am looking at doing another themed month, similar to like I did the TMNT themed month back in September, which it seemed like many people did enjoy for the most part. And I'm really thrilled to see that panned out. So if there's any other properties you guys want me to cover or a certain themed month you guys want me to have, definitely sound off down below in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think. And now, to wrap up, is the giveaway opportunity. So how do you enter? Simply go to the GameCube Galaxy Twitter page and be sure to check out the latest pinned tweet about the giveaway. Follow the instructions listed in the tweet and that's all there is to it. I will randomly select the winner on November 14th and announce that lucky winner through Twitter. So, what's the lucky prize? A physical copy release of Super Monkey Ball Banana Mania. Being remakes of GameCube games, I couldn't think of a more fitting gift to do as a giveaway opportunity. So thank you all again for tuning in. I know it was a different video than normal for every Sunday, but I was really meaning on getting this video out. So thank you all again for tuning in. Thank you all for supporting the channel as always, and I look forward to you guys further supporting the channel as more content comes your way. Thanks again, good luck to those who are doing the giveaway opportunity, and I will catch you in the next video.
you.